The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Manfromleng. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are wrapping up our look at the rogue cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator Expansion. We are going to discuss Sneak Attack Level 2, Lupara Suggestion Level 4, and Cheat Death. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, a quick reminder of how we rate cards here on The Whisper in Darkness. The best of the best get an Elder Sign, while the worst of the worst get an Auto Fail, and the cards in between get a +1, 0, or Elder Thing respectively. Cards that you build around or cards that are good in one particular deck get a Bless token, while cards that we believe are destined to end up on the list of taboos or are simply bad for the big game get a Curse token. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. You all rock. If you'd like to be amazing like these people and support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Special thanks to Cole Monroe Chitty, Nicole Fiscus, and Nate Lost in Time and Space for their contributions to the channel. I couldn't do it without you. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. We are wrapping up our look at the rogue cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator Expansion. It's going to be awfully difficult to top the last batch of cards, but let's see what we have. The first card we're going to look at is Sneak Attack Level 2. It is a 2-cost event with an intellect and 2 combat skill icons, tactic trait. Deal 2 damage to an enemy not engaged with you at your location. Now this is an upgrade for the level 0 version that was in the core set, since reprinted in the revised core. I don't think I have ever played this card. What do you guys think about this one?
I've put a copy of it in my Safina decks, and in those situations, it's not terrible, actually, because it's free damage. And in Safina, you generally don't have a lot of good ways of dealing damage aside from shriveling. And shriveling doesn't really work with what Safina's trying to do. So like having a copy of Sneak Attack can be pretty nice in Safina, because you can let your team engage with the enemies, and then you can come in and Painted World a Sneak Attack or something like that to help the team along.
Yeah, I've personally never played it myself, but I'm actually like really glad it exists though, because I'm thinking it lets you play like Wendy. And you don't have to have guns to like deal damage. And the problem with the original Sneak Attack is you had to be engaged with the enemy, then evade it, then sneak attack it. And at that point, you might as well just backstab it. Right. But at least with this, it's like the fact that the enemy just has to be not engaged with you. I'm thinking from, again, 3-4 player setting. That happens a lot. Like there are a lot of times you have enemies that are not engaged with you. So like the opportunities to use this are pretty nice. And it means you can contribute to fighting without even having to have a Derringer. You know, it's like without even having to make any combat tests at all. So like let's say like between backstab and sneak attack level 2, not the level 0 one, it's not very good. Between those 2 cards, like that could be like your entire contribution to combat as like Wendy. Yeah.
You could like stealth an enemy, evade it, disengage from it, and then sneak attack it.
Yeah, it's not the ideal case, but yeah, you can do that. And Sneak Attack opens it up. Oh, Sneak Attack also works on aloof things, which is handy. I gotta be honest, like it's not like probably the primary use case of Sneak Attack level 2, but it's nice that it's there.
If you kill a Whippoorwills with this thing,
oh yeah, everyone's
pretty
happy.
good.
Oh, what's also like another thing that's really nice about this is it means you can kill a Wizard of the Order. Without having to make that 4 combat test.
I'd also like to point out the Man in the Palette Mask.
Yeah, although I think he has 3 health.
He does have 3 health, but I mean, hey, you're helping out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd play this over Mano a Mano every day, that's for sure.
You know, like, it has 2 icons on it too, so I mean, even if you don't have resources to play it, it at least has
the icons are good.
Something,
yeah, so. I think and then 2 XP feels about right for this card. So yeah, even though I personally never actually played it because I'm more of a sleight of hand 41 Derringer type of guy, you know, but I'm glad it exists because as an upgrade for Wendy's Sneak Attack. Yeah, and it opens up that avenue that I think is I'm glad it's in the game.
Testless damage is always nice. dealing 2 tasteless damage is even better. You can take out quite a few really annoying things with that. If you're playing in multiplayer and you don't have the resources for this, you can always pitch it to the Guardian skill test for 2 combat skill icons, which is, I mean, you've got a copy of this in your deck. It's basically an overpower at that point, which isn't, I mean, it's not an ideal use, but can come in handy. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played this card. I think I've played the level 0 sneak attack a few times in decks originally, but yeah, it's just too limiting. This one solves a lot of the issues for it. I think the problem I have with this one is that with rogues, they have so many other expensive XP cards to buy. So after you spend your, say, 2 on lockpicks and then whatever else, this one sort of is hard to fit in there because you're going for your exceptional cards in some cases. But I can definitely, like, I don't have an issue with its power, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a larger trend of utility cards are often way often get overlooked, especially when you have to pay XP for them. Yeah, and this feels like a utility card because you don't strictly have to use sneak attack to defeat enemies. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, but it is really good against aloof.
Oh yeah.
So if you're having trouble with aloof enemies, this might be really useful.
How would we rate this one?
I'm going to give it a 0. I think, especially if you're playing Safina and you want to try the new Rogue Investigator in the box, this is, I mean, it's also one of the only upgrades you meaningfully get in this box. As
Safina. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's kind of
like you do get pickpocketing, which is something you're probably going to take as Safina. You get lockpicks, which is also, but like, come on, it's not really like.
Yeah, I get
it's not jiving with what she really wants to be doing. Where sneak attack definitely is something she would be looking to do, which is cool. So for that, I appreciate it. And I've had plenty of runs through Dunwich where a card like this becomes pretty useful because whippoorwills are so obnoxious.
It's true because engaging them is such a pain in the butt. You know, especially if you're already engaged with something else. Yeah, I agree. It's true. Yeah, I like this card too. I think I'll also give it a 0. I mean, yeah, I like I said, I personally haven't played it very much. I think in my case, it's because Jenny and Skids both have access to Dynamite Blast. Yeah, like they do, you know. So they have alternate ways of achieving this kind of effect. But I really like that it opens up options for like a Wendy style of deck, whereas like you're really not going to be punching anything, so you've got this to help out.
Yeah, and then if you're able to play it a couple times with Wendy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Potentially have the ability to kill something a little bigger than 2 health. Yeah, I like I said, I haven't really played this with this one. I do like it though, so I'm going to give it a 0. I don't think I can go any higher than that. But yeah, for rogues who don't necessarily want to go down the guns route or a Wendy deck, this one can fill a combat hole, which is always useful. The next card, we've sort of talked around this one a little bit because of sleight of hand. This is the Lupara, 3-cost asset that costs 3 XP, combat skill icon, item, weapon, firearm, and illicit trait. It uses 2 ammo. Playing the Lupara does not provoke attacks of opportunity. As an action, spend 1 ammo, fight. You get +1 combat and deal +1 damage for this attack. If Lupara entered play this turn, you get an additional +1 combat and deal an additional +1 damage for this attack, and it takes up a hand slot. So I think at this stage of the game, there aren't that many rogue weapons that give you +2 combat and +2 damage.
Yeah, you have Chicago Typewriter, and that's it.
I mean, there's the obvious combo with Sleight of Hand. Drop this into play, fire away, pop it back to your hand, and then play it again to get the bonus. I don't think I've ever built the Sleight of Hand Lupara deck, though.
I have. It's so much fun. Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, you feel like 2 of these, 2 Derringers, 2 Sleight of Hands, and like you're good to go. Yeah, because like you do have, say, Chicago Typewriter, up at the top. But the problem with Chicago Typewriter is it takes up your lockpick slot. This Does not. So this is like the generalist. This is the generalist Chicago typewriter. Your end game damage.
It's your boomstick, man. Come on.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It totally is. The hand cannon.
It makes you feel like Ash from Evil Dead, man. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's
you walk up to some mobster in Dunwich and you say, "Listen here, buddy." Bang.
I like how it's got 2 shells, like in the in the image.
In the artwork,
in the artwork, it looks very clear what this thing does.
And the fact that it has 2 ammo, right, for your 3 actions. Action 1, play. Action 2, shoot. Action 3, shoot.
Boom! There you go. 6 damage out. Yeah, right out there without having to have like prepped it in advance. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, yeah, we're even like a lot of Guardian cards at this point, unless they're doing Lightning Gun. Yeah, they already have had the gun on the table in order to spit out 6 damage, but the Rogue can just do it on the fly. Yeah, which is nice. And then if you have the sleight of hand, it comes back and it doesn't take that action. It's super fun. Yeah, so we're actually for the longest time, like this was like an end game. You're like was your capstone. Sleight of hand 2 of these, and I think it still holds up. +2 to +2 combat, +2 damage. It kind of falls by the wayside. There's definitely been some power creep, right? And you have other options. I'm thinking like
I don't know, man. A lot of enemies nowadays have 3 health, and
that's true. That's true.
You can just like, all right, next, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, there's a lot of like Guardians have an easier time dealing with 3 health more, now compared to how they used to. So it's like you often may not have to step in. Yeah, and then you've got like I'm thinking of things like the Beretta, from Rogue, from the Winifred Habermick starter deck. Like Rogues have options too. This is still tons of fun. It's not its prime time to shine, but I think it's still pretty good. Yeah, and if this is all you have,
kids, you're doing 7 damage. That's pretty good, man.
That's true. Yeah, like there are other options out there, but this is still a pretty good one.
In 2-player, this thing pretty much can single-handedly kill a boss, and I think for that alone, it's gonna be rated very highly for me. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I like this thing too. I've played it to good effect in like Jenny, and mainly because it's only one-handed.
Yeah. That's really the saving grace of this card, is that you don't have to give up lock picks to play it.
Yeah, and you don't have to give up, like if you're skids, you don't have to give up a machete or something. It's like when it's go time, you can just drop it down, and you still have your machete in the other hand if you're
right. And I think like the nice thing with playing sort of the bruiser style Rogue is that you get to divvy up your experience, right? Whereas a Guardian has to spend all 10 of their experience basically in 1 or 2 chunks, whereas the Rogue can really divvy it out and sort of scale the power level as they see fit. But Guardians just don't have that option, really. It's like you have 45, and then you have the lightning gun. And there's nothing
That's
really
true, because the way the XP system works is you have to go from 0 to 5, as a Guardian. And then Guardians have stick to the plan, because you gotta have stick to the plan to bring it all together. Yeah, so, but Rogues don't have that problem, which is nice. Instead, they get to spend their XP on other things, like lockpicks and Moxie.
This is another nice card for solo players who are looking for something that they don't have to slow their momentum down again. You can either sleight of hand it into play, in which case it works very, very well, or you wait till the enemy shows up, then you can play this and not have to worry about the attack of opportunity. Does a ton of damage, which is pretty good in Dunwich and Path, and gets a little better as we move into Forgotten Age and later, where enemies tend to have that 3 health rather than 2. This still will take them out with a shot. If you play this and you've got more than 2 enemies, you're only going to get the 2 shots, but you were already in deep trouble as it is. So this may not dig you out of that hole, but yeah.
But probably dig you killing one of them.
Yeah, it'll dig you. It won't dig you completely out, but it'll dig you out faster than other options because you don't have to take 3 attacks of opportunity to get it on the board.
True. True. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. So this is a very nice card for the Rogues. How would you rate this one?
I'm giving this a +1. This is a really solid 2-player card. The damage is usually just right in 2-player. 3 per enemies, for instance, are really nice to deal with this thing. Even 3 health enemies, when you get into later campaigns, this thing takes care of really nicely. 5 health enemies too. Sometimes you end up like you'll take a shot at the end of a turn and you'll deal 3, and then the following turn you'll deal 2 for 5. Situations like that can happen too. You know, just kind of how the way the turns work out. But this card's really solid, especially in tandem with the Derringer. You can
I was about to say
you save this thing for big health enemies when the Derringer is out of ammo, and you use the Derringer to help you facilitate extra actions. Play the Lupara with your extra action. Shoot with the Lupara. It's nice.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily combo with the 41 Derringer, but I feel like it complements the 41 Derringer.
It does really nicely.
Yeah, and also you could do things like you have your lockpicks in one hand, and if your Derringer runs out, you just replace it with the Lupara when it's go time, and then that runs out, and then you get your second Derringer to have out. Yeah, no, it's a good card. Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a +1 because I feel like it'll. Man, the Carcosa Rogue just kind of fits together with itself, except it's not Safina. It's very cohesive, but it's not Safina. But not Safina.
This was the skid set.
Yes, this was the skid set. Yeah, you can do a little bit of everything. You get to use his agility. You get to oh my god, you're right. This is the skid set.
It's FFG's famous conundrum from the first 6 sets where they release an investigator and then 2 sets later they finally get all the support.
They finally fix it. Yeah, they finally give it the support it needs. It's kind of true. Oh my gosh.
I think Father Mateo was a perfect example of that.
You're right.
Alvin was another example of that. Safina's another example of that.
Lola Hayes and synergy cards. Yeah, it was it took them sets to realize, people aren't playing skids enough. How am I gonna get people to play skids? And then they figure it out.
I'm gonna give this one an Elder Sign.
Oh baby.
There you go.
I like it. I mean, it's
nice.
It's the fact that it is one-handed and does a ton of damage and gives you the +2 combat, especially for sort of average combat skill rogues, is nice. The fact that in solo you don't have to worry about the attack of opportunity, throw this with sleight of hand. I mean, the deck really kind of builds itself. I could knock it because it doesn't work with Safina, but I think you can say that about most of the rogue cards in this box. Yes, I was looking at a couple of Safina decks online before we recorded, and there's not a whole lot of rogue cards from this box in the most well-liked Safina decks online. So I think I saw Narrow Escape and watched this maybe in 1 or 2 decks, and that was about it. The rest of it was Mystic cards. So
I was about to say, I can imagine a Safina deck at this point having 6 rogue cards and 24 Mystic cards.
Yeah, no.
Thankfully, they give her one event that is well worth it, though.
Yeah.
So if you love rogue investigators and you would like to play Safina, stay tuned for our review of the Mystic cards in the box, because that's really those are much more in her wheelhouse than the rogue cards. But if you love Skids or Jenny or any of the rogues we've seen before this one, Lupara, Sleight of Hand, you can't really go wrong. And if you like to play solo like I do, having a gun that can deal 3 damage is huge, and only take up 1 hand slot is even better, because then you've got your lockpicks for the investigation, and away you go. So
especially in solo, this gets even. I think it gets even better, because in solo you don't actually have to do that much damage to get through a scenario in solo.
Correct. This will kill most every single boss in the earlier campaigns. Yeah, that's really why it's so good in lower player counts. It's so much damage in such a condensed amount of time.
Yeah,
that it doesn't suffer from that like it would in 4-player.
You run out. You run out after 2 shots, and then it's 14 health to go. All right, let me figure something out. Yeah, it's true.
The next card is Suggestion. It is a 3-cost asset that costs 4 XP. Willpower and Agility skill icons. Spell trait uses 3 charges. As an action, you can exhaust Suggestion to evade. Add your willpower value to your skill value for this evasion attempt. If you do not succeed by at least 2, remove 1 charge from Suggestion As a reaction, when a non-elite enemy would attack you, you can spend 1 charge. Cancel that attack. Takes up an arcane slot. Now, I was just talking about how few of the rogue cards really fit in with Safina in this box. This is one that actually kind of jives with what she is trying to do.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good in Safina too, honestly. Yeah. She's got high agility and high willpower, so she's at an 8 with this test. You know, so you're basically getting a free evade, which is pretty good, and then you have three dodges on a stick.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Safina's very fragile, so having an ability like this is really nice. It protects Moxie if you're going that route too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think this card is very I think you have, once you read it a couple of times, you have to like, first of all, you have to notice something. It never actually, the ability to evade things never actually runs out, because you don't have to spend a charge to actually do the evasion. What actually runs out is the 3 dodges. And if you can get through, and evasion means you don't have to use the dodges as much. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a weird card in that, like, you could do something totally, you do something that's actually totally different than the dodge effect, and you could causes you to lose charges for dodges. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. I mean, it's just you every once a turn you get to have a super evade, which is kind of nice, because then on key evade tests you don't have to like boost it. Mm-hmm. Like, you could be at a 4. I'm talking like Safina. You can be like, I mean, her base is a 4. It means she doesn't have to boost evade tests, mm-hmm. which it's nice to, if that's your plan. Yeah, so to not have to do that. It doesn't also does. What's up?
What is nice about this card is, in lower player counts, if you get stuck with multiple enemies, you can evade one with this and then cancel the attack from the other. If things really get that dicey. And in those situations, you can actually dig yourself out with a card like this, because you always have that evade in your back pocket.
True. I'm imagining you evade one thing, then like move away, take an attack into opportunity from the other and then dodge that.
That's exactly the situation that you get stuck in a lot of the time in solo, and this card can alleviate that.
Yeah, because that bails you out, because it means that once you separate the 2 enemies, they become much easier to deal with in solo.
Yes.
Yeah. So this card is good at that. I've used this in Jenny to pretty good effect as well. I will admit, because Jenny's at a 6 with this before any other boosts. Because it kind of gets things done, you know, and it means you don't have, like, even like Jenny at a 6, and especially if I don't even actually care to succeed by 2, because I'm just trying to evade the thing. Even Jenny at a 6 is evading a lot of things.
And a lot of rogues, it doesn't take up a slot you really care about.
Exactly. At this point in the card pool, I think, isn't this the first rogue spell?
It is, yep.
Yeah. So you don't even, the slot is basically slotless. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and then of course it's also nice to trigger. It's nice to trigger pickpocketing.
Yep.
Yeah, it helps. It helps with that whole pickpocketing engine. So
yeah, and Safina gets to play Arcane Initiate, which helps her find it, which is also nice.
Oh yeah.
So she's got like this whole like Arcane Initiate plus pickpocketing engine that she can generate to do a lot of card draw.
That is a lot of card draw. Yeah, because that's 4 cards that get you going. Yeah, that's pretty good. So
nice. I do like the fact that this does have basically 3 dodges on it. So if you are running for the exit at the end of a scenario, it's just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna move and cancel, because it does not exhaust to trigger to dodge. So you can basically get pounded on as you run for the exit and get out of jail free. I mean, the evade especially with somebody like Safina, is almost guaranteed. So running out of charges with this thing is going to be tough. Now, there is a level 1 version of Suggestion that was released in the Return to the Path to Carcosa, which is basically the exact same card without the dodge, without the reaction on it. So,
well, that one, it can also discard itself, the level 1 version, if you run out of charges.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, if you've got a rogue that can max the test, it's going to be pretty tough to lose those charges. So if that's all you care about, then pick up the Return to the Path to Carcosa, just for so you can only spend 1 XP rather than 4. If you want the dodges, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for it. How would we rate this one?
I think the real thing that holds this back is just it costs 4 XP.
I agree. It's a lot.
if this costs 3, I'd be thinking +1 territory. I think at 4, I gotta give it a 0. It's just a little too expensive. It is good.
Yeah, it's
good.
There
are a lot of situations where it will pull you out of a bind, but at 4 XP, it's just a little too expensive.
It also doesn't action compress like the Derringer or pickpocketing or
I would say this is what I would call action efficiency.
There you go. Yeah, and 4 is a lot when you have like pickpocketing and Derringer in the same box, especially. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 0 as well. Like it's fun, it's nice, but like it's a lot of XP for what it does for you.
What about 1 XP?
Oh, the 1 XP version? That one's harder, I gotta admit, because it depends on the investigator. That's the thing, suggestion. Yeah, the 1 XP version. Because you don't get the dodges. Yeah.
The dodges for me is really what sell suggestion to me.
Yeah, it puts it over the top.
Otherwise, it's just kind of like I could play any other evading solution and probably be okay with it.
Yeah, and also the 1 XP suggestion like isn't infinite, because if you you can break it.
Yeah, I think if I'm considering suggestion level 1, I'm probably also looking at Mists of Relie.
True. Yeah, and Mists of Relie gives you actual action compression. Yeah, by giving a move. Yeah, it's like the level 1 version doesn't have enough words on the card, to really do it.
Yeah, we seem to be moving in lockstep with our ratings here. This one is going to get a 0 for me as well. It is very expensive. 4 XP is a lot, and especially in Safina when you've got. Especially if you're leaning into Mystic Safina, as many of the decks on Arkham DB do, you've got your Shrivelings and all that stuff before you start looking at this one. Like, I don't think this is the first card you're adding to your deck.
No.
And if it's not the first card, then gets pushed further and further down the line, and it may not even get there. But having 3 dodges is it certainly puts Hypnotic Gaze to shame.
God.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that type of effect, this is a much better route to go. But
the final thing I'd like to note too is that the second copy isn't always that great either.
Oh yeah, you only need 1.
You really only need 1. So
yeah, I'd say if you have pickpocketing in your deck already, then stop at 1. Yeah, because you're already drawing cards. I don't think you would ever need 2 of these, to be honest.
You really don't.
Yeah,
because you might not even need 1. Because rogues have so much access to agility skill icons that.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, but it's nice. That's why it's a 0.
Yeah, and maybe it's a 0 in Safina simply because she's got the willpower, and in a lot of other rogues, this is not. You're adding 1, 2.
Yeah.
So it's
not too bad, because even Skids it gets him to a 6, which that means you're evading without boosting, which is pretty nice. That's what I've done with this type of card in the past.
Well, we have come to the end of the rogue cards in the Panther Carcosa Investigator Expansion. We have just the capstone left. Unfortunately, rogues kind of got cheated on this one. This is Cheat Death. It is a 1-cost event that costs 5 XP, wild skill icon, trick and fated traits, fast, play when you would be defeated. Disengage from each enemy engaged with you. Discard all cards in your threat area, heal 2 horror and 2 damage, and move to any revealed location with no enemies. If it is your turn, end your turn. Remove Cheat Death from the game. Oh, boy. I wish this card had one other line of text on it that did something. So if you drew this and you weren't going to be defeated, you could at least do something with it. But I don't build my decks to be defeated.
If it perhaps discarded all non-elite enemies,
Ooh.
So you could like hold back the line, then it might be kind of cool. But man, is this card a big pile of disappointment.
Yeah, just instead of spending 5 XP on what happens after you get defeated, spend 5 XP on not getting yourself defeated. I think I'd feel better about it if it had 3 question marks. Because it's not a... I mean, 3 question marks alone is not a 5 XP effect, but at least it's more than Unexpected Courage. You know, a 0 XP, staple card. Yeah, it's just cards so bad. And like, why? So here's the thing: like, why would they need to remove this from the game? Like, what happened in playtesting to justify that?
So, let me tell you a funny story about this card.
Oh baby, here
it comes. I had someone in a campaign I played through play this card. They used it, right? They're playing Skids. They play this card. They use it.
Okay.
They draw Rotting Remains in Mythos phase and die.
Right, because it doesn't actually get you out of trouble.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was so funny. It was so funny. So this card is really bad. Don't play it.
Yeah, don't play it. Just like honestly, just play Moxie instead. Moxie is a better card than this because Moxie will keep you from getting to this point where you get defeated, and it stays on the board and continues to help you avoid being defeated.
And at the very least, Moxie can be a dump asset for Grip Chill. This cannot.
Yep, this cannot. Just do a Moxie and a Hot Streak. There you go. 5
XP, doesn't help
one
with
Moxie,
Frozen
one
in
Hot
Fear.
Streak. And it doesn't help with Frozen in Fear. The things that actually lead you to becoming defeated in the first place. Yeah. So instead, one Moxie, one Hot Streak. That is a way better use of 5 XP.
It will discard the Frozen in Fear.
That's true.
But that
is true. But then you've probably suffered multiple turns of Frozen in Fear at that point.
Because like you don't just go from like full to down in Arkham Horror. Like you it's multiple turns of that losing that action to Frozen in Fear and like having to evade things and like slog through it. Like you need to like solve that problem before you get defeated. You know what? Honestly, I think at 5 XP at Cheat Death, I honestly think it doesn't deserve the play only when you would be defeated tag. You could just use it at 5 XP. Just say, disengage from each enemy engaged with you, discard all cards in your threat area, heal to horror and heal damage, move to any revealed location with no enemies. Remove it from the game, end your turn. 5 XP, you should be able to do that whenever.
I mean, Seeker's got this card called Pendant of the Queen that allows you to teleport from one location
from 1 XP
to another for the low price of 1 XP. This card requires you to be defeated. Yeah. And then you get some minimal effect that's kind of like elusive, where you probably should have just played elusive.
Let's play elusive, right? Get out of jail before you get defeated. That's true. Rogues have elusive.
I get where this card... Okay, so like clearly this card is meant to solve the problem of, well, what happens if I die with Karen's Opal in play? Well, you could just not do that in the first place. So all this experience that you've been accruing with Karen's Opal, you spend into this card. And what do you have to show for it? Absolutely nothing.
No, what you have to show for it is drawing Rotting Remains in Mythos and falling over anyway.
Yep.
So this is one of those cards, and it hasn't been one in a while, where I'm going to recommend you get out the pen and you scratch off the part of play when you would be defeated. Just say, fast.
If this card just said fast, do all that stuff, holy shit, we'd be having a different conversation.
But it'd be fun. At 5 XP, I think it'd be fun. Yeah, it'd be a fun card.
Yeah, this card is terrible. There's no reason to play it. It's like, it's essentially, I'm going to put this is one of those rare cards in the Arkham Horror LCG that is actively making your deck worse.
Yeah, that's true.
When you put it in your deck. When you you have wasted 5 XP to put a blank card in your deck. Why would anybody do that?
Moreover, why would you put 2 in your deck?
Yeah, why would you spend 10 XP to put 2 blank cards in your deck in the event that, like, if you want to be defeated, buying this card is a way of achieving that goal.
Yeah, because it's like
Oh,
it's actually
okay.
worse than
Hold
elusive.
on.
Yeah.
There is the "I'll see you in hell" in the Ghastly Revelation cards, and if you wanted to play with those cards, then you could sort of make yourself be defeated. Play this, haha! I'm actually not defeated. Why you would want to do that, I don't know, man. Listen, but you could do that in theory.
I just realized something. Like, it doesn't strictly prevent you from being defeated. All it does is disengage from enemies, discard all cards in your threat area, heal 2 horror and 2 damage, and move to any revealed location, no enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So you could end up taking so much horror that this doesn't even save you. Like, it doesn't guarantee avoid defeat.
Yeah, unless
That makes it even worse.
you happen to heal 2 horror that saves you. You are right.
Yeah.
You could take enough horror that it would still technically kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even do the thing.
Horror, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even do the thing it's supposed to do.
Like, if you're at 1 horror and you blow a rotting remains test, or if you're at 1 sanity and you blow a rotting remains test, this will not save you. Oh wow. Yeah.
We have like a rating that's like a reverse curse token. Like it's such bad design that it makes your deck worse. Do we have a rating for that, or is that just the auto?
It's beyond the auto fail. Yeah, maybe. Oh, I know what it is. I think I know what it is. It's the Nate special. It's bless auto fail, or curse auto fail.
Well, maybe one day we'll see this on the mutated list, and it will actually do something.
Just cross that little line out. Play when you would be defeated. Then it like actually works. Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that this one gets auto fails, and if we had a token that was worse than the auto fail, then this might actually get that. Don't buy this card. Spend your 5 to 10 XP on something that will actually help you win the game. And honestly, a lot of the time, getting defeated in a scenario isn't the end of the world, unless it's the final scenario. So.
Oh yeah, because even if because this doesn't even push the game forward, because all it does is prevent you from being defeated, and you might still be defeated late in the next turn. Yeah, it doesn't even really help. It's not like I'll see you in hell, which actually pushes the game state forward. Yeah. Well then, never mind. Discarding all cards in your threat area, that does deal with enemies, so I guess sure. Wait, you disengage from each enemy engaged with you, then you discard all enemy cards in your threat area. Oh, it doesn't even help with that.
Yep.
What am I thinking? This card's terrible. This card's and it's actually even more terrible the more I read it.
Yeah. You know, it's like some cards you got to squint at to see its value. This is like the opposite. It's like the more you squint at it, the more it hurts to look at.
Yeah, it's true.
Auto fails across the board for the capstone of the set. Terrible.
Like a crapstone.
And as we were discussing before we recorded this, rogue capstones are a real mixed bag.
Great, yeah.
They're not a lot of winners in the bunch, and this is definitely terrible. So don't play it. Well, unfortunately, we had to end on a bit of a sour note with cheap death after a very solid batch of cards. That's going to do it for a look at the rogues in the Path to Carcosa Investigator Expansion. We'll be back with the Mystics here shortly. Mystics got quite a few interesting tools in Path to Carcosa. In the meantime, you can let us know what you think of the rogue cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator Expansion in the comments down below. Any final thoughts, guys, on the rogues?
Hey, if you like to play rogue, you should really consider buying this box.
There's yeah, this is like
great cards.
This is basically the rogue core set right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of required with between like pickpocketing and lockpicks and and then you add on capabilities that weren't there before with like Lupara, and sleight of hand. Oh yeah, sleight of hand. So yeah, this is a really good box. And then of course Sharon's Obel is very iconic, and is even that is totally worth playing or buying the box for. You'll have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got Moxie to protect you from terrible treacheries, which has always been a problem for rogues. And yeah, there's just a lot of really good good cards in this box. There are some stinkers that you will never play, but if you do enjoy playing rogues, there's basically, you can take a bunch of the rogue cards in this box, put them in your deck, and your deck is already going to be good.
It's true.
And then you just sort of need to flesh it out. As long as you don't put cheat death in your deck and sort of actively do harm.
But you won't, because you've watched this video and you are an enlightened, educated, sophisticated Arcan player, and you know better.
That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromleng@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromleng. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.